Nvidia just released a preliminary earnings report, and it wasn't pretty. They announced a huge decline in revenue, about $6.7 billion versus their initial outlook of $8.1 billion. That's about 17% below expectations. Nvidia stated that the shortfall is due to big macroeconomic headwinds and weaker than expected gaming demand. This drove their gaming revenues down about 44% quarter over quarter and 33% year over year. Here's the thing, Nvidia is viewed by the market as a gaming company because they make high-performance graphics cards. Video game demand always comes down as the weather gets better, but it's also way down compared to last year's numbers when everyone was stuck at home. But another thing that was driving demand for graphics cards last year was crypto mining, since the prices of Bitcoin and Ethereum were making new all-time highs. Now the prices of Bitcoin and Ethereum are roughly half of what they were a year ago, so demand for graphics cards to mine them has dropped significantly. So a year ago, we had the pandemic keeping everyone at home and high crypto prices driving demand while the chip shortage was limiting supplies. These are the kinds of numbers that Nvidia is comparing against today. So, is that it? Is Nvidia doomed? Well, not exactly. I first heard this news on CNBC's Market Alert with Jim Cramer. But before you roll your eyes, he actually made a really interesting point.
I would say this is a clearing event for NVIDIA. NVIDIA is now going to be viewed as an industrial company.
Right.
And that's what NVIDIA is, industrial and obviously data center.
I think Jim Cramer is actually spot on here. Nvidia may be still seen as a gaming company today, but they actually had more revenue come from data centers last quarter than from gaming, and their data center revenue is still quickly growing. Nvidia makes a lot of money from hyperscale and cloud computing, and the demand for these services is only going to keep increasing as machine learning models get bigger and businesses process more and more data. Last quarter, Nvidia's data center revenues grew by 83% year over year. This quarter, those data center revenues are still expected to be up by over 60% year over year. Well, after the most recent drop in their stock price, Simply Wall Street shows Nvidia as trading near its fair value. Analysts still expect Nvidia's earnings to grow by over 15% per year, and that's on top of the amazing earnings growth they saw last year. But it does look like there's been significant insider selling over the last 3 months. Simply Wall Street steps investors through an entire checklist of important factors like past performance, current financial health, and future cash flows, all in a way that's easy to understand. Simply Wall Street is free to use forever, but if you want to evaluate more companies each month or access their powerful stock screener, you can use my link to get an extended free trial and 30% off your subscription when you sign up. For now, I'm adding Nvidia to my True Disruptors watchlist, which I'll be building as I keep covering the companies and technologies transforming our lives. So consider subscribing if you want to follow along as I keep building out this list. So let me show you some of the ways that Nvidia is transforming our lives beyond gaming. These are areas of their business that are poised to grow for the years ahead, even if gaming ends up moving away from high-end PCs altogether. Let's start with automotive, since that's one of their fastest growing platforms today. Nvidia has something called the Drive Hyperion system, which is trying to provide automakers with self-driving as a service. Think of this as Nvidia's version of Tesla's cameras and full self-driving chip, but with a few key differences. Nvidia recently announced Hyperion 9, which supports 14 cameras, 9 radars, 3 LiDARs, 20 ultrasonic sensors, and doubles their processing speed of their current system, the Hyperion 8. With all of these sensors, the Hyperion platform gives automakers many different tools for many different kinds of driving scenarios. But not every automaker wants to offer full self-driving. Some just want premium features like drive assist, self-parking, and smart summon. Nvidia's Hyperion architecture is modular, which means automakers can use only what they need. Nvidia also has Drive Map, which is a crowdsourced real-time digital twin of every road they get footage for. By 2024, they expect to map every major highway in North America, Western Europe, and Asia. That's hundreds of thousands of miles of digital roads that they'll have physical twins for in the real world. If Nvidia knows where a car is in real life, they know where it is inside their digital twin, which means they know the environment around the car, where all the road lines are, and traffic lights, and curbs, and so on. Then, Hyperion sensors in the car can double-check what they're seeing against that digital twin. Likewise, Nvidia's Drive Sim takes in recorded drive data and turns everything in the scene into an interactive object. With this tool, you can remove, add, or change anything in the recording to run a bunch of simulations in that environment. or change the environment entirely with different lighting effects and weather conditions and road hazards and so on, kind of like what Nvidia already does in the gaming market today. Drive Map and Drive Sim are connected to Nvidia's Omniverse, so let's talk about that next. The goal behind the Omniverse is to create the most accurate digital twin of the world and everything in it.
Extended to vast scales, a digital twin is a virtual world that's connected to the physical world. And in the context of the internet, it is the next evolution. And that's what NVIDIA Omniverse is about. Digital twins, virtual worlds, and the next evolution of the internet.
The idea for Omniverse actually came from Pixar, who needed a way to set up complicated 3D scenes so that hundreds of artists could collaborate on them at the same time. That's a pretty tall order, and to solve that problem, Pixar developed the Universal Scene Description, or USD. USD is a system for representing all the elements, physics, and interactions that make up a 3D scene. That way, one team can work on character models, while another team works on environments, and so on. The Universal Scene Description is where you describe how everything works together. Well, Pixar open sourced this USD standard, and it's been widely adopted by huge companies around the world. For example, Autodesk, which makes 3D modeling programs used in engineering, architecture, and entertainment, uses USD integrations. So does Epic Games, the maker of Fortnite and the Unreal Engine. And Apple uses USD to represent all of their augmented and virtual reality scenes, so this is already a well-adopted standard. But NVIDIA's Omniverse is the first application purpose-built entirely around this universal scene description. What Pixar's shared workflow did for large movie scenes, Omniverse does for every other industry, from architecture and engineering to art and game design. That means that one part of a factory engineering team can be working on the digital twins of different robots, while a separate team works on the conveyor belt system, and a third team architects the building itself, all in different industry-specific programs. Then they can plug in all of their models into a shared scene, hosted on the Omniverse. If someone makes an update to their designs, an Omniverse connector would push it to every shared scene the model is in as well. What this unlocks for businesses is the ability for multiple teams to collaborate on shared 3D scenes of any kind, at any scale. Connected cars could upload traffic data for logistics and delivery companies to plan and adjust their routes. Weather services could upload weather data and models for everyone to use. In fact, Nvidia made a machine learning model that emulates the movement and flow of global weather patterns to help others predict extreme weather events like atmospheric rivers. This is an AI-enabled digital twin called ForecastNet, and it's trained on 10 terabytes of weather system data. Combined with Omniverse, ForecastNet can predict the path of these atmospheric rivers up to a full week in advance. And it only takes a quarter of a second on a single NVIDIA graphics cards. That's 100,000 times faster than today's standard weather forecasting models. And it's not just atmospheric rivers. Severe droughts are happening around the world thanks to higher evaporation associated with rising temperatures, which also causes more wildfires. While we often talk about predicting weather and climates up to a week out, NVIDIA's new technologies could one day help us predict months, years, or even decades out. Long-term climate prediction involves modeling the Earth's atmosphere, terrain, oceans, human activity, and how they all interact. Because these predictions can happen so fast, NVIDIA can generate many thousands of simulations, explore the many different potential outcomes, and quantify the risks associated with the most extreme weather events. Risks that may have been missed because today's forecasting models take so much longer to run. Here's the thing. To get a model with meter-level accuracy, you need to be able to account for things like small, low-lying clouds and how they reflect the sun's radiation back into space. If you don't account for all these little details, the small errors will begin piling up, which causes big errors over longer periods of time. This kind of modeling is hundreds of thousands of times higher resolution than what we've been able to do today, and it's not because of supercomputers. It's because of advances in physics-based machine learning, like the kinds enabled by NVIDIA's Modulus. Supercomputing is just the icing on the cake. Supercomputers like Meta Platforms Research Supercluster, or RSC, which is expected to be the largest customer installation of NVIDIA's hardware ever. This supercomputer will connect over 6,000 NVIDIA GPUs to do things like translate the voices of large groups of people, each speaking a different language. Supercomputers like EOS, which NVIDIA is building in-house to provide AI training as a service. EOS is expected to be the most powerful supercomputer in the world, about 4 times more powerful than Meta Platforms' research supercluster. It's also expected to be the fastest. With around 70 terabytes per second of bandwidth, EOS can transfer Netflix's entire movie library in a single second. Hopefully, this quick episode helped you understand just some of the things that Nvidia works on outside of gaming. Because of efforts like these, I really think that Nvidia will be known for their industrial and cloud computing solutions in just a few short years. But there's another computing company clawing their way to the top by any means necessary, and they're already worth more than Intel. So if you want a high-tech story full of lying, stealing, and corporate espionage, check out this episode next. Or if you want to learn more about the company that controls all of our chips, even Nvidia's, this episode is for you. Either way, thanks for watching, and until next time, this is Ticker Symbol U. My name is Alex, reminding you that the best investment you can make is in you.